welcome to another episode of Don't Call It Small. I'm your host, Natasha Foreman. If you don't know about me and you don't know anything about this podcast, let me share a little with you. I'm the CEO of ForemanLLC, LLC, and Don't Call It Small is where we talk all things business, share tips and news that you can use, and highlight the people and ideas behind the products and services that we buy. To learn more about me and my company, please visit ForemanLLC.com. Woo! Welcome. It's another Wednesday. A blessing to be here. Happy Wednesday. It's an honor and a privilege to return for another episode of Don't Call It Small. Last week, we talked about relationships and well-being and the tie-in to the workplace and the responsibility that business leaders have to their workers to provide an ecosystem and environment that supports both internal and external relationships and the mental, physical, spiritual, and financial well-being of the people that make that business go and grow. I spoke briefly about the importance and value of a strong HR team and why their purpose should run hand in hand with the organizational strategy that is actually led by your senior leaders. I also highlighted, if you recall, 7 individuals who study, focus, and share their insight on the multifacets of relationships. If you remember, I introduced you to Dr. Aldewan Tart, his amazing wife, Mecca Moore Tart, Cal and Denise Ross, the power couple, Adele Hewitt-Veal, and D.L. White, both amazing authors. Let me give you a quick update about D.L. White. Last Friday night, well, actually it was early Saturday morning around 2:30, I finished reading her new book, The Guy Next Door, a Potter Lake novel, and I laid there in bed with the biggest smile on my face, and then my mind started wondering what's going to happen next. Will DL pick up this storyline and bring us some other twists and turns, or what? Oh my goodness. Then my other question was, will you know who, return to raise hell? And will this come in and will all of this blow up? And how will the good be the bad? And how will the bad be the good? It's just so much. It was just a lot. Woo-wee. All I know is when I went to the lake on Saturday and brought my deck of cards to play spades, I giggled, thinking of more than one scene in this book that had card games tied in. And guess what, DL? I won on Saturday. Yes, indeed. Anyway, I enjoyed my nightly bedtime story, The Guy Next Door, a Potter Lake novel. For so many of you, you may be reading during the day. I just know that when I start reading DL's books, I get totally distracted. I become consumed and I lose track of my day. And that does not make me a productive businesswoman or college instructor. So I try to read as many of my stories at night before I go to bed. So thank you, D.L. White, for another grand slam. So now's a good time for a pivot. I just mentioned a book, and books have to be marketed and promoted to garner the most publicity and sales, correct? Well, today's episode, we're going to talk about marketing, publicity, advertising, and promotion, the whole big old bubble, right? When I went to, and that's bubble in a good way, not in the negative way when we think about bubbles. This is, I'll just say the umbrella, the amazing carousel. When I went to graduate school after 10 years of working in various industries, I knew that I wanted my master's in business. But when given the chance to specialize in an area, I gravitated to marketing. So after a few years in the School of Business and Technology, I earned my MBA with a concentration or specialty, however you want to look at it, in marketing. I had already been working in various aspects of marketing, and so I wanted to specialize in that area. What's interesting is how marketing has shifted in many ways, and sometimes we forget, with our fast twitch efforts generated through social media, what our purpose and goals are as it relates to marketing and the layers that make up, enhance, or support marketing, such as publicity, advertising, promotion. They all coexist. They all feed off each other. They all enhance and help each other. Let me share a quote from one of the most innovative and influential minds in marketing and business today, Mr. Seth Godin. Seth is quoted as saying, "Our job is to make change. Our job is to interact with them in a way that leaves them better than we found them. More able to get where they'd like to go." Let me repeat that. Our job is to make change. Our job is to interact with them in a way that leaves them better than we found them, more able to get where they'd like to go. The them and they are our customers. They're our clients, and the prospective customers and clients that we're clamoring to entice, seduce, and convince to work with us, buy from us, invent in us, or invest in us. But they may be inventing in us, right? Some of us invent this image that they have of us. And trust us, it's an interesting relationship. And last week I sat back and looked at the mission statement for my company, Foreman and Associates. And guess what? I wasn't impressed. It didn't tell me jack crap. It didn't tell me why I work hard and sacrifice for this business. It didn't tell me why I want to work with certain people. It didn't tell me why I stay up some days and work all day and night into the next day. It was great as a value statement. It tells me my old mission statement told me what I valued. It told me how I engage with my clients. It tells me how I appreciate my clients. It says how hard I work for my clients, but it doesn't tell me why. So I asked myself the very question that I would ask each of you. What is your why? Why do you want this so bad? Why do you want to provide these products and services? And guess what? My mission statement became crystal clear, and my old mission statement also was quickly identified, as I said earlier, as a value statement, more so than our mission. The mission of Foreman and Associates is to help individuals and businesses identify, pursue, and achieve their why. That is my and my company's why. It's our why. The products and services that we then offer are all molded to help and achieve that why. What we offer helps us to achieve the why. That then means that products and services that don't help us get closer to reaching that mission, answering, fulfilling that why, is then eliminated or redirected. If they don't serve a purpose, then they are taking up time and space. And we can never reclaim time, even if we could repurpose space. But later, even in repurposing space, it's going to require time. I also realized more clearly that something that has been shifting and forming before me is that I need to delegate more, outsource more, and free myself up to do all that defines and solidifies my why. As the senior most leader of my organization, I have to push and challenge myself to constantly change and grow, and to promote and create change and growth internally and externally. Without change, we unknowingly form in the molded layers of the status quo. And let's be clear, the status quo sucks. When it comes to marketing, Seth Godin has said, go for the edges. Challenge yourself and your team to describe what those edges are, and then test which edge is most likely to deliver the marketing results you seek. Well, when I look at marketing efforts over the last 5 years or so many people aren't going for the edges. They are adding molded layers of the status quo. They are replicating what is easy, and because of that, they aren't truly challenged and tested. When you don't expand outward and look at the edges and phrase, and you then leave yourself vulnerable and exposed to market changes that you never predicted, because in your mind, this is how it goes. Until it's not how it goes. Marketing's not supposed to be the bait and switch. So you have many people who are doing this seductive dance of enticing someone with this sexy image, dressed in a way that leaves the imagination running wild, with just the right level of lighting. And each step that the viewer takes requires them to pay more and more. I mean, come on. Imagine going to a restaurant and you have to pay for entry. Then you have to pay for each individual item, a la carte. And you have to pay for the table and chairs, the plates, glasses, utensils, separately or as a bundle, right? The napkin you have to pay for, or more Hey, you have to pay more if you want black cloth instead of white. It sounds torturous, right? But guess what? That's what marketing and sales is nowadays for so many companies. It's gotten to the point that I swear that a lot of people marketing their services all must have taken a course or attended a webinar from the same person or company that taught them how to market their services. Even the branding looks similar. I start getting confused. So to test this out, I've intentionally signed up for various webinars to see if I'm going to be marketed to and sold the exact kind of messaging and packaging. And guess what? So far, several of these offerings have been so similar. With this approach, how can you stand out from the crowd? If so many people are using similar color schemes, fonts, buzzwords, and pitches, how can you be different and stand out? Ladies and gentlemen, you're gonna have to be different. That's how. And it's a learning process. It's a growth process. You're gonna crash and burn sometimes, and you're gonna run and cross the finish line victoriously. But it's all about learning what works for your business, for the people that you're trying to service. So let me give you two examples in the air transportation space. Let's look at, I'm going to focus on Spirit Airlines. There's also Frontier Airlines and probably Allegiant Air that I can clump into this. But I'm just going to focus my research that I've recently done on Spirit Airlines. I did this last week. It literally left my jaw on the floor and a not so good taste in my mouth. Now this is no knock to Spirit and those people that travel with Spirit, because you may really love Spirit. I'm just using this as an example in how marketing works. The marketing reflects that they do a low-cost airlines. And I mean, geesh, who wouldn't want to quickly hand over $75 for a one-way ticket from Atlanta to Los Angeles? Sounds like a steal, huh? Especially when Delta's showing me a one-way ticket for $195.30. So it seems like Delta's robbing the heck out of their customers, right? When you compare the two. Especially when you compare it, like I said, you compare it to Spirit. Well, that's just clever marketing on the part of Spirit. What you don't see up front is that the $75 is just what you pay to gain access to the plane on that day. The $75 allows you to walk aboard. You get to get inside the airplane. But you still have to pay for your seat. Yes. If you want to ride on Spirit, you need a seat, don't you? Well, depending on where you want to sit on the plane, you could spend anywhere from $5 sitting way back in the plane, or up to $75 to sit in the very front of the plane. If you want an exit row, that's about $30 on average. So you're probably thinking, well, heck, that's only $80 to $150. That's still a steal. Not so fast. What about your bags? Do you intend to carry on a bag or check one? Well, if you're traveling with a purse, laptop bag, duffel bag, backpack, diaper bag, any kind of bag, that's going to be $38 per bag. And if you're checking a bag, it's $33 per bag. You see, they make it cheaper to check it. Don't forget the overweight bag fees, because if that checked bag is excessively weighed, there's going to be bag fees. They may even deny the bag and say that you're going to have a separate bag. So you may have to have multiple bags. And if you want priority seating, it's going to cost you. If you want other perks that you just get as part of your regular ticket with Delta, Spirit says you have to pay up. And you better check in online using their app so it won't cost you, because any other method that you use is going to cost you upwards of $10. Oh, yeah. And Spirit and some of the other low-cost pals also charge you for water and snacks on the plane. Yeah. That means you better bring an empty bottle and fill it up at the water fountain right outside your gate before you board. By the time I was done calculating the cost and including the taxes to take a flight on Spirit, it made better sense to book with Delta. And Delta had better flight options. What I mean is, I could fly at more convenient times. On Spirit, you can end up flying for 24 to 26 hours just to make a flight that would normally be 3 to 4 hours on Delta and other airlines. So let me give you another example. A round trip flight from Atlanta to Los Angeles. Round trip on Spirit, paying for my seat there and back, and I chose the $30 seat option for both trips, which is a total of $60. And then I'm checking my bag on both flights, which cost me $66 round trip. You include the taxes. The trip total on Spirit was $333.58. Yet, on Delta, where I can bring on a personal item and one carry-on for free, I have more leg space, comfier seats, I get water and snacks for free, and I had great timing of my convenience of the selecting flight. The ticket was only $397.60. That's a $64.02 difference. I'm sorry. I would much rather give Delta the $64.02 because I can just about guarantee that somehow, somewhere, Spirit would get all or most of that from me anyway. There would be some fee that I didn't see when I booked. So when I added Southwest Airlines into my comparison, I thought that their prices would knock my head off because Southwest gets no love at all when they fly into and out of Atlanta. The rates are usually ridiculously high. But interesting enough, flying on the same dates with times that were convenient for me, I could still get a round trip flight for $380.98. And guess what? On Southwest, you select your own seat and I can bring on my carry-on and personal item for free. It's not as luxe as Delta, but it's better than my options with Spirit. If you remember earlier, I mentioned the flight convenience of the scheduling. One of Spirit's flights from Los Angeles to Atlanta would leave around 4:30 p.m. on a Sunday, fly past Georgia, and land in the Baltimore, D.C. area 5 hours later. And then, not 5 hours after you pass Georgia, but 5 hours after leaving LA, right? So 5 hour, 6 hour flight. And then there was a 9-hour layover in the Baltimore, D.C. area, which is great if I wanted to visit friends or attend a business meeting. Now, after the 9-hour layover, I would board another plane and fly to Atlanta and arrive around 2 o'clock on Monday afternoon. So leaving at 4:30 p.m. on Sunday, Pacific time, which is 7:30 p.m. on Sunday, I would not arrive to Atlanta until 2 p.m. Monday afternoon. What in the who lost their everlasting mind world kind of arrangement is that? I mean, however, if you don't care about the lengthy travel, this could work for you. The rest of us will just pay the extra $64.02 on Delta or $47.40 and fly on Southwest Airlines and arrive in Atlanta at a decent hour. Matter of fact, both Delta and Southwest had nonstop flights. Yeah. So I could leave and then boom, 4 hours later, 3.5 hours later, be in Atlanta from LA. Those are the rates that I'm quoting for this comparison. Nonstop flights versus find yourself all over the country before you reach your destination flights. Okay. So Spirit's marketing and sales team believes that as long as they fulfill the customer's desire for low-cost travel, the initial price tag is going to be so alluring that the customer will naively or ignorantly or desperately ignore all of the add-ons. That's what my perception of this is. I mean, they succeed at getting our attention, which is what marketing is about nowadays. It's about the consumer and competing for their attention. I get it. And Spirit and other no-frills airlines achieve this. And they tell you that we're no-frills. So, of course, what you're thinking is no-frills means, okay, I understand I may not have the really luxe kind of accommodations as far as the seating, right? And I understand the plane may not be as pretty and perky and there may not be all the videos that I can watch. I get it. However, you're sitting back and let me just keep going. So, so they achieve this with the getting my attention. That's the $50 one way or $65 round trip, right? That definitely can create a Pavlov's dog scenario real quick. When I see that $50 one way or $65 round trip, I'm drooling. But for the most part, it's short-lived. As short-lived as dancing with someone in a nightclub and feeling attracted to them until those club lights turn on. And you see that you've been dancing with the crypt keeper. Like, at that point, you're trying to run and get away as fast as possible. That is how I felt as I am now adding all of these extra things in order to take a flight that should just come standard. The only way to truly fly at such a cheap rate is to travel in the very back of the plane without bags and don't care when you arrive at your destination. But even then, your ticket's still not going to be what's advertised. Because remember, you still have to pay for your seat and the taxes for the flight. There's something to be... Look, plain and simple. We're supposed to have truth in marketing, truth in advertising. What you're saying that I'm getting is what I'm supposed to get. There aren't to be any ahas or gotchas or rationing of what I'm supposed to get. Now, don't get me wrong. Yes, you can always have deluxe and bonus features. Research has shown that, we have love and that we love to receive and pay for perks. We do. Hence why people will pay to fly first class or business class or for box seats, courtside seats, orchestra seats, so on and so forth. We love luxury and the feeling of being in the mix, in the midst, and in the know. Yes, we will pay to be fast-tracked through a line. But in all of those examples, guess what? We know what the heck we're getting. I'm not buying a courtside ticket to be told, oh, that was just the cost of coming down courtside. Now you have to pay for your seat. And if you want to put your arms on one or both armrests, you have to pay for that too. Come on now. I know that my first class plane ticket entitles me to all of the free drinks and food that I want, including liquor. It's included in my ticket. I also get priority boarding and I have a priority lane, that I can walk through. There's other perks that come with my first class ticket. It's all outlined and made crystal clear to me. No extra fees. I'm getting what I pay for. So when we look back at Seth Godin's quote about how we're supposed to make our customers feel, do you remember what he said? He said, our job is to make change. Our job is to interact with them in a way that leaves them better than we found them, more able to get where they'd like to go. So, how does all of these 2,419 extra fees and gotcha exclusions that Spirit and similar airlines offer leave customers better and more able to get where they'd like to go? Imagine traveling on Spirit or some other airlines that are similar as a family of 2, 3, or 6. Imagine the bag and seat fees. You might as well rent an SUV or van and drive to and from your destination. Heck, depending on where you are in the country, you'll probably get there faster than you will on Spirit. So, Spirit and other providers like them are doing a great job of standing out from the crowd. It's the only way to survive in a crowded marketplace like air travel. Matter of fact, Seth Godin has said that fitting in is a failure. However, Seth also said that it's easier to love a brand when it loves you back. And in the examples that I just shared, it feels to me that some of these airlines love my money more than me. Because when I can get some frills for an extra $64 and change, why would I go to the competition who has already told me that they won't give me any frills? They just get me to my destination and maybe in less than 26 hours from when I departed. So I went to Spirit's website, and their website says, quote, obviously, we are proud to have broken the rules and created arguably the best airline in the Americas. But don't take our word for it. Book us for your next trip so you can see firsthand what everyone is raving about. We must warn you, however, you may kick yourself for not switching to Spirit years ago. Yes, one could argue whether or not Spirit is the best way and the best airline in the Americas. This company has to do way more to get my vote in my business, but that's just me. Like I said earlier, you may love Spirit. You may say, yeah, Natasha, in your example, there's only a $64 difference, but I've taken trips through Spirit that saved me $200. And I would say, well, that's pretty cool. And for me, Spirit would still need to do more for me. And maybe I'm just not their target customer, even though I like and I love a good deal. I mean, I am frugalicious. If you know me, I'm frugalicious. But, nah. I'll pay the $64.02 difference and fly on Delta. That's just me. So, stepping away from spirit for a moment. When you look at your business, your brand, and what you're trying to offer to consumers, is your focus on them or is it on your bottom line? Is your focus on your customers and employees or on making sure you keep costs low because you have investors or bank loans or whatever to pay back? It doesn't have to be an either or. It can and should be a both. You should be focused on your relationship with your customers and employees and making sure that your business is profitable. That way you can afford to cover payroll, the property where your business operates, the cost to produce and market your products and services, and all your other expenses. Your focus should be on your stakeholders and on repaying investors or banks or whoever you owe money to, right? But you shouldn't sacrifice the quality of the products and services that you provide in order to repay debt. You better figure out a way to renegotiate the terms of that debt repayment, because guess what? When your quality plummets, your customers will quickly abandon you. And then you won't have any money to repay the investors and banks and loan sharks and your grandmama. So take care of your people and they will take care of you. And then you'll be able to take care of your obligations. When it comes to travel, especially airlines, you have to see what's most important to your customers. You're competing for us. Yes, cost is a major factor. However, nickel and diming us to death to appeal to the cost-conscious consumer will actually infuriate the mess out of us even more. Time is a big factor for many of us. So saving us time to book our travel, reach our destination, and get my flipping bags from baggage claim are all things that we think about when weighing our options. It takes more time to book a trip on Spirit, Frontier, and some other carriers than it does on Delta and Southwest, for instance. There's so many new, recycled, and overused buzzwords that it's feeling a little cliche. And there are many marketing paths that we could pursue, right? And sadly, not everyone is a master of these processes. You could pursue different marketing paths, but some folks are you're not really master. And there's a great quote from the man, Gary Vaynerchuk, or Gary V, as he likes to be called, that highlights the problems that many of us see when it comes to SEO marketing as an example. This is just one example. I'm just going to take little chunks off of the big cheese. Gary said, quote, "I do not believe that people want to work hard enough and they want to find the quick Twitter SEO. Anybody who's obsessed with SEO has lost already. Period. I believe that firmly." End quote. Now, really quick, if you don't know what SEO marketing is, let me give you the textbook definition. I'm just going to quickly try to do this. SEO stands for search engine optimization. It's the process of increasing the quality and quantity of your website traffic by increasing the visibility of your website or web page to users of a web search engine. SEO refers to the improvement of unpaid results, and it excludes any direct traffic or visitors that come to that website and the purchase of paid placement. So it's going to exclude those two factors. I'm going to give you a quick crash course for some of you that don't get it. So SEO marketing has a goal of finding the terms and phrases called keywords that can generate qualified and organic traffic to your website to make your site friendly to search engines. It's going to help build links and market the unique value of your site so that viewers are intrigued by it. They come to it. Right? Build it and they will come. Now, SEO marketing is focused on increasing your search rankings, improving your competitiveness. It does this by helping search engines reach and index the content from your website, provide content on the website that answers the searcher's web queries, such as best ranked Chinese food in Atlanta. I'm just giving you an example. Then if you remember that I mentioned the use of keywords, right? Well, SEO marketers work to optimize those keywords to attract searchers and search engines. Search engines have robots that crawl through the internet to find websites and content to add to their search indexes. And if they can't find you, then you don't get added to the index. So now you know how search engines work. Now back to SEO. Through SEO, you can enhance the user experience on your website, and that can help to improve your competitiveness as far as your visibility is concerned. This is done by increasing your content load speed so users can access the content on your website faster. But it's not just the speed of access, but also the ease of use and ensuring that the content is accessible and appealing on all devices. So imagine if your competition is slow load speed and their content only looks good on computers but not mobile devices. Unless they have a strong reputation, there's a possibility that users would opt to not go to their website and instead look elsewhere, like maybe at your website. The content being shared should be worthy of promotion and being shared by others. And SEO marketers understand that the more people who share the links to your content on their other platforms, the more traffic that your website can generate. And the more traffic means the higher probability of turning viewers into customers and visits into sales revenue. Some people have websites just to say they have a website. There's really nothing on the site that's worthy of being shared with others. You have to then ask yourself why they even have a website. Here's something I will say to those of you who have a domain name but you haven't built out a site. It's better to have a one-pager with basic information about your company than for people to type in the URL, right? They're going to type in the little box, your website, and stare at your domain hosting company's generic page. Heck, even if you type a website coming soon or website under construction and then provide links to your social media profiles and your company email and phone number, at least it's something. It gives you a presence. How else will you stand out from the crowd? How else will you begin a relationship with consumers to build trust in the ultimate biggies, commitment and loyalty? If we know that you have this brand, this company, this idea, this concept, this product, whatever it is, and we go to the site and the site is nothing, there's nothing there, we're not going to probably stick around, right? We may give you one more shot. But if we come back a month from now, 2 months from now, and it's still nothing, that's a wrap. They're going on somewhere else. It's like dating. Hello? Like, if you tell me to meet you somewhere and you're not there, I just felt like you stood me up, right? Or you give me the address to your home, but you don't open the door. Okay, I'm feeling a little some kind of way. So something else that SEO marketing does is it looks at the title, URL, and description of your website. Something may sound catchy to you, but be a turnoff to searchers and low ranking to search engines. Years ago, my company had the domain ForemanLLC.co. And there were two things going against us. One, people misspelled it frequently. Either people would leave out the Foreman, the E in Foreman, so it's Foreman. They'd either leave that out, or they would leave off the last S in associates. So they would put Foreman and Associate, no S. And because the .co was brand new to the domain world, so many people weren't used to typing anything other than .com, .net, .org, etc. We're now, of course, years later, becoming very comfortable with the .co, .biz, .blog. But several years ago, I would receive phone calls from people saying that their emails bounced back, or this construction company with the same name as my company would forward me my emails from people who were sending them to .com because they were ForemanAndAssociates.com. And it's a construction company. That was interesting. So the owner of that company and I would have conversations and we would just laugh about it. I also realized that the length of the URL can be a turnoff. So after a few tweaks here and there, we eventually settled on ForemanLLC.com. And I always have to still remind people, don't forget the E in Foreman. Because a lot of people want to spell it Foreman. So that I settled on that. The feedback that we received was favorable. And then just last week, we changed our Twitter handle for the same reason. And we have the number 4MAN Associates. Well, that's a lot, and that's a lot to try to explain. And of years of having it, I said, we got to switch it up. You have to always look at yourself through the lens of potential customers and other stakeholders. I have our website audited more than twice a year, ranking, and we're raking through it and just digging through it to see what works, what doesn't, what is appealing, and what needs to go. We take the feedback from clients and visitors and make changes to keep improving. I realized that our website overhaul with a new layout restricted a seamless viewing on mobile multiple devices. So I personally reviewed the website from several devices, page by page. It was painstaking, but it was necessary. And then I noted what I wanted to see differently. I noted what the comments that people had about the frustrations that they couldn't see certain things, they couldn't access it quickly. I noted all those things, and then we made those changes. Foreman Associates is also adjusting our target market focus, and with that, it requires us to expand some nets that we cast and then narrow other nets. The relationship building will take time, but offering online courses now, we realize we haven't been known for this in the 8 years of being in business. So we're having to introduce ourselves to new and more people. We can no longer just be a word-of-mouth consulting firm like we have been in the past. We have to expand our thinking and methods as we hope to expand our reach. Let me say this, nothing is overnight. Success nor failure comes overnight. Everything takes time. Too many people are focused on short-term gains. We are part of this microwave mindset of pop it in, snatch it out, and consume away. And business is never about the quick and fast. Not when you're thinking about longevity, not when you're thinking of lasting 10, 20, 50 plus years. Now, if you just want to be the flavor of the year, and then you're willing to switch, pivot, and become something else, then okay. If you just want to crank out apps without consideration of growth, then the microwave mindset is fine. If you want to create a product, build demand, and then quickly offload it in a sale so you can move on to other pastures, okay. However, if your goal is to build a business, then you celebrate the short-term wins and gains, yes, but your focus is always on the long term. And whatever you do, don't ever think that you know it all about anything, because you don't. And the market will prove you to be a bigger fool in the end. Gary Vee said, quote, 99.5% of the people that walk around and say that they are social media expert or guru are clowns. We are going to live through a devastating social media bubble. And guess what? I agree. I already have issues with people who call themselves experts and gurus, because guess what? You don't know everything there is to know about a subject, thing, or person. Heck, you don't even know 100% about yourself. We are all learners and we are all teachers, but the overinflation and abuse of the word expert and guru is destined to get a lot of people in trouble. It's better to say that you're really passionate about something or you specialize in something than to lead people to believe that you're the end-all be-all in a field, specialty, industry, etc. When the social media bubble bursts, like all bubbles eventually do, we will also have a lot of people struggling to figure out what to do next, because so many people have only replicated what they've seen other people do. For those of you out there who are marketing yourselves as social media specialists, experts, etc., you have to be as diverse in your skill set as the consumers that you're trying to serve. Hone your skills and consider what's coming in the near future. Try something new, challenging, innovative. Be bold, yet practical. What I mean by that is take risk, but don't lose your mind. Don't make a decision that you know has a high probability of bankrupting you just to risk a little to no gain, right? A little fizz, but no kapow. Believe it or not, there are people out there who do it. They are gamblers who don't mind risking it all for the thrill of the chase. But see, that's one of the downsides of social media. It's about the chase and the trap for so many people. When you're more focused on the number of followers, subscribers, likes, and shares that you have, then you're missing the big picture. What are those numbers translating to, converting to, and resulting in? Interesting enough, I would say that less than 10% of your followers and subscribers actually invest their money into the products and services that you provide. And if you don't sell products and services, then you are constantly having to find ways to convince people to pay you attention. Marketing is not a one way or one size fits all. It's a dance. It's a relationship. You are constantly seeking to learn your customers' wants and needs and considering what they could possibly want and need before they know they want and need it. You're courting them, dating them, trying to get them to commit to you and buy from you. That means that Instagram marketing may work within a campaign for some businesses while LinkedIn works for others. And another business may need to do pop-ups, trade shows, and a combination of social media campaigns with various platforms. YouTube may be the ticket for someone while someone else struggles with the platform. Marketing is about testing various waters and directions, trying different dance steps with your partner, the customer. Some companies, such as mine, delayed entering some social media waters. Some dabbled, put our toes in the water, and tried to figure out how best to tell our story authentically, knowing that you only have less than 1 minute to capture and keep the attention of viewers who are quickly scrolling to the next thing that catches their eyes. I don't see the fit for Foreman Associates to be on Snapchat, for instance. You need to go where the people who want and need what you have to offer spending most of their time. Interesting enough, LinkedIn has been a valuable asset for us. But as I stated earlier, it may not be a good fit for another company. When you're a service provider, you have to be more creative as to how you tell your story to the public so that the public can gauge whether your story is worthy of exploring further through a phone call, email, or contact form inquiry. This is especially true if the service that you provide isn't a high demand service. So, really quick, what I'm doing today is something that I did weeks ago. I'm doing this as a 2-part episode. So, what we're going to do is we're going to pause this. We're going to put a pin in this because when I come back, I'm going to continue this line of thought, and then I'm going to introduce you to 3 women in marketing, in publicity, PR, and all that great stuff. So I want you to tune in for episode 15. Well, this is like 14.2, right? So tune back in. We're going to pick right up where we left off. Make sure that if you're not already following us on social media, that you follow us at Foreman and Associates on Instagram and Facebook, and on Twitter we are at ForemanLLC. And Don't Call It Small is on Twitter at, guess what? It ain't small. So tune right back in. We'll be right back in a moment. I'm Natasha Foreman. I'm your host of Don't Call It Small Business. And I look forward to chatting with you in just a moment.